I certainly hope we're live. Somebody in the chat confirmed that we're live.
We are live.
Okay, awesome, man. I barely had time to do my hair and my makeup. It's another kind of rush start. And sorry for kind of the late notice on this thing. We've had it planned. We got the word out 3 days ago, but not probably as well as we should have. But we got special guests today, and that's why we had to take advantage of it. While we have got the wonderful Praveen Mohan in the house, man, and he is a hard fella to track down. How you doing, Praveen?
I'm good, George. How are you?
I'm terrific. Where are you in England?
I'm in.
I know Johanna's in London, but where are you?
Yeah, I'm in Farnborough. I was in London just a few hours ago, and I'm actually in Farnborough now. So it's maybe an hour, 2 hours from London.
Yeah, we're going to switch right back to you, but just a quick intro of Johanna James, who is our host.
I'm here. I'm in London.
And she is in London. And we've got Mr. Luke Caverns, her new podcast co-host, and they put out their first Raiders of History.
Raiders of the Past.
Raiders of the Past.
Yeah.
I can't make that mistake again. How you doing, Luke?
I'm doing well. How about everybody else?
Doing good. Where are you, man?
I am in San Antonio, Texas.
That's what I thought. Well, good.
Yeah, good to see all of you guys again, and good to virtually meet you, Praveen.
Oh, all right. Nice to meet you too, Luke.
And Howard, tell me about yourself a little bit. You're an Anunnaki, correct?
Yeah. I actually bought it for myself. Can you believe it? Yeah, listen. I'm looking forward.
Where are you, Howard?
Summit.
I'm in New York.
Nice.
You're in New York.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Anunnaki, folks, is out of many people's reach, but the ones who have seized the ring get the gold, right? And that includes direct access here on the podcast. So, Howard, you pipe up anytime you like, man, with any questions. Okay?
I'm really a listener.
You a listener? I understand, man.
He's just happy to be here.
Yeah. Well, that is just fine too. And if we got any of the other Anunnaki, I sent them a guest invite too, and they can join in. And there are also some other people, other speakers out there who may join us, but it's fine. We wanted a kind of a compact combo between a live meeting and a podcast, right? And that's to talk about, Praveen's attendance and what Johanna and Luke are up to and some other updates along those lines. I want to remind everybody, but with Cosmic 50, you can get $50 off the $485 Megaphone Pass, and it'll be just $435 if you use, it's all capitals. Cosmic 50 is a promo code when you purchase a ticket. And if you use Cosmic 15 for a $50 live stream, you will get it for a mere $35. And I tell you, that barely covers all. Yeah. So Cosmic 50 and Cosmic 15 are your promo codes. Hey, Praveen, where have you been this year, man? You seem to be on the move. People tell me that a lot too, but you seem more on the move than I do.
Yeah, it's been I'm surprised myself. I was in Indonesia, and then I was in London in January. I was in the UK looking at a few things, and then I went back. Then I had to go to Thailand. This was just a month ago. I was in Thailand. I went to places like Ayutthaya. We looked at many ancient sites. We went to real remote parts of Thailand.
Yeah.
This is in almost the border of Cambodia. Because today, the countries are completely split up, right? So Thailand and Cambodia. But back then, they used to be a part of one empire called the Khmer Empire.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had to go to Thailand, but it's actually a part of the Khmer Empire. So we went and we looked at it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we went and we looked at a few temples there. I came back. Now I'm back. Of course, India. That's where I'm based at. So came to India. Then I have to be here in the UK for some TV show. And I was just with Hugh Newman.
I was just about to ask. Yeah.
Yeah, we were at the Stonehenge 2 days ago, and
Nice.
Johanna says we'll go to a secret site day after. Where are we going,
Yeah.
Johanna? Should we tell them?
Yeah, so we're going to go on a road trip on Tuesday, and we're going to head out to Avebury and Sidbury Hill and crawl all over that and just check it out. Because I've only been once. I've only been once, and it was a very quick visit. So I want to go again and look with it with Praveen's eyes as well.
That's terrific. And I tell you, going with Hugh at a Stonehenge, that's special probably for you, Praveen. And I want to remind people that Hugh Newman is speaking at the Cosmic Summit as well. Mm-hmm. And he is an ancient megalith expert. And I just got him the invite to this. You know, we speak on multiple channels, but I did reach out to him directly to see if he really failed to have him join us today, because I knew that y'all were over there talking and we're together, Praveen. So we miss Hugh right now. Is he in Turkey? Okay.
You can't catch any one of us. All of us are in one part of the planet at one. We're just like, sorry, I'm just catching a plane.
It really is true, man. I remember when I first started working in the adjacent time zone known as Central Time here in the U.S., right, and started doing business over there. It was exotic to call an hour away, and that shows you how minimal my aspirations are. And now it's like I have to think all the time, okay, what the hell time is it in Australia? What time? Czechoslovakia is how many hours behind London? You know, and okay, they're in California now, so I got to knock that back 3 hours. And that's kind of some of that stuff is going on live right now. Just speaking of people moving around the earth, y'all know I hosted Mr. Phil Dubois, who is part of Malcolm's team. You really would call him part of his team, if you will. He's an independent investigator, but I think it's fair to say that he's assisting Malcolm. But he has joined a true independent investigator, Bob Grenier, out in California this week with the amazing thunderstorm generator. Now, Praveen, you got a lot going on, man, but so you are forgiven. But I am happy to give you an introduction. Have you caught any of this stuff with the amazing Malcolm Bendall?
No.
Okay, nothing. Okay, so you moved to it? Okay, well, actually, that kind of gives me a chance to describe it too, and I don't want that to swamp the program here today. But we have kind of elevated the status of it in a way because it's kind of a special thing. Praveen, he is an insightful inventor and a devotee of sacred geometry, and also, I guess you could say Randall Carlson as well. That's how we first met him. He contacted Randall years and years ago. And then he and Randall, maybe you call it when they went on the Joe Rogan show and they never showed the episode with the fella. Did you get any? Does that ring a bell?
The No Rogan show.
The No Show Joe show. That's right. And I explained all that on Danny Jones' podcast recently, and I will not go in that depth. But Praveen, he has insights, and he believes that he can manifest machines that take advantage of sacred geometry, including non-polluting engines. And we are still in the testing phases, as everything would be. But boy, we have hooked a lot of devices up that. And Johanna has herself. Johanna has spent a good bit of time around the machine as well, right, JJ?
Yeah, they're testing it in London, America, in quite a few places. They're testing like the prototypes of the machines, and I've seen some of the patents for other things. Like there's a turbineless engine. It was like a vortex engine. Yeah. Right. And a lot of Malcolm's work, he said that it's inspired by or like aligns with a lot of the really ancient Sanskrit texts and the Vedas, and it's basically kind of, he hopes to prove that it wasn't like legend or lore, that it was actual machinery, if you can call it that. But it's really quite basic. It's not run off like electricity. It's run off like water and vortexes and a whole bunch of transmuting elements, like basically low cold fusion, essentially.
Yeah. Okay, we'll probably
to throw that buzzword
or cause him immediate skepticism. But that's if you do have that, and I'm not speaking for you, that we may have cracked the world's energy problems and transcended into a new form of physics, we all felt the same way, that is simply incredulous. So the position that I'm taking personally, I think is reflected one way or another with a lot of others, is that we're going to keep working on this, and we're going to present it at the Cosmic Summit, and the inventor is going to speak, and two of the independent investigators, Bob Grenier, who has it now in California, and Jordan Collin, who does the math angle of it, right? He's a polymath and also kind of a sacred mathematician in Australia, and he's coming to Greensboro. So you'll meet Malcolm, Bob, and Jordan. And Bob and Jordan are putting constantly out videos. And yesterday, Jordan put out a very significant one that Johanna was just referencing that was 2 hours long and got into all this. But while this is still a mystery, it's still worthy of the Cosmic Summit. But this is a funny one. Who knows? It could turn out literally at any moment that we've just missed something. In which case, we'll readjust the speaker list and do what we can, and we won't show the engine off, or won't show off things that we don't think are interesting or that we can not explain. It's kind of funny. Usually you want to show things that you can explain, but in our case, you want to bring forth the stuff that we can't explain. And so that's all going on. Another thing, Praveen, and Johanna referenced this too, he draws it all back to India, man. And he gives credit.
Are you saying that he's actually bringing a prototype that works? Is this like
that's right?
Wow, that's.
So,
I have it a couple of miles from me right now.
Yeah, there's a couple of different machines, with different things. So there's the vortex like engine, which he doesn't. We haven't got a showing prototype of that, but what they have got is the thunderstorm generator, which you retrofit it onto a car. Okay. Onto the emissions, and it basically, in a nutshell, sucks the carbon emission, and inside that's why it's called the thunderstorm generator, because it kind of mimics in nature like a thunderstorm where you've got hot and cold air vortexing around each other. And then they're trying to prove that this thing can transmute carbon emissions into oxygen and a whole bunch of other clean stuff, and like clean up the dirty stuff. But what is weird is that there is even though like all the testing is still going on the prototypes for exactly how this thing is working, what we have seen so far is that there is evidence of transmuted elements inside the sphere of the machine. One of the old ones was cut open. It worked for 8 years. They sliced it open. And I was there on the day that they sliced it open, and I helped to photograph and take the samples of inside. But there is layers of like crystallized compounds of elements, and they're amazing and sparkly to the eye. But when you look at them under the SEM machine, they're finding evidence of like a whole bunch of stuff, and titanium and ionized spheres and crenellated spheres, and it, like there's stuff. And also what's weird, and I can attest to this as well because I've stood there with a heat measuring temperature gun, is that there's stuff going on that kind of defies the laws of thermodynamics as well. Right. Along it, because the thunderstorm generator is actually essentially just a load of copper pipes and stainless steel spheres arranged in a way that helps the airflow. But when it's working, the spheres can get to like 450 degrees, and then like 2 inches later on the copper pipe is 25 degrees. And you can physically, I think George, you've done it as well. You've put your finger on the air outlet and you're like, it's just barely warm to touch, but literally 2 inches previously it's 450 degrees. It's so hot. So this is why it's so fun to see in real life, because you get to like experience what's going on with the machine. So hopefully we do get to show them.
This is live science.
It's like
it is developing as we speak on a daily basis. And I'll tell you, I'm going to ask you to, my co-host Johanna and Praveen, because we were featuring y'all, but Malcolm Bendall, the amazing Malcolm Bendall, has popped up in the comments.
Oh, at Talk of the Devil, here he is. He heard us talking about him, and it was like,
I wanted to jump in. Do y'all mind if I jump in? Bring in Malcolm.
Yeah, bring Malcolm in, because Praveen, Malcolm really wanted to reach out to you because of his knowledge of India, and he wanted to give you. He was like, "Oh, I've got folders of information to give to Praveen on what I've on his research." So, yeah, he's keen to meet you and throw a load of research at you.
Yeah, I'm really fascinated with the use of all this like ancient technology, right? So I mean, obviously I've made a few things, but like we made the ancient device like Bhaskara's wheel. He thought of a free energy device 2000 years ago, right? So he thinks it's basically a perpetual motion device. Obviously it doesn't, like, when I recreated it, it doesn't work, right? It does. Otherwise, I would have been real famous.
Not yet.
Because it would have solved the energy problem. But I recreated the Bhaskara's wheel, but because of the thermodynamic laws and Newton's laws, it didn't work. But I'm really hopeful because this is hi Malcolm.
G'day, mate. Finally.
Okay,
blessings bestowed. Yeah, blessings bestowed.
Okay, Malcolm, I'm going to turn you loose on Praveen. Poor Praveen. Okay, but you have wanted to talk to him for a while. You wanted to put him in touch with our
about
friends.
8 years. Myself and
that's right.
The Admiral of the Indian Navy wants to talk to him, and the think tank Carpenter wants to talk to him. We were in India. Phil did a great job. We're in India. Well, it's in India for 3 months. We gave the talk at the conference there. We built the machine. We got the results, and we'll be back. Basically, what it is, Praveen, is it's the vajra. I was on the Maldives in the island, Lemuria. so you know where I'm coming from and going to. So basically, this is it. I have been working since 1972. Actually, 1970 was when my grade 6 teacher told me about this. He said, I said I want to have a car that runs on water. He said, well, if you're going to do that, you better figure out the unification model first. And if you do that, you'll easily be able to do your engine. Otherwise, it would be impossible. Fleischmann that the US Navy went and got me to sea for 10 days in Salisbury Plains before his death. And he was the one that pioneered this, and he was the one that was absolutely eviscerated and slaughtered by the establishment. It turned out at the end of the day that MIT fabricated the results, and even though he had the goods, and we could have, and God bless him, in the 60 Minutes, do you know what he said about it? He said he's a lot better man than me, because he said it was a huge waste. Right? He's thinking about humanity, not himself. Yeah. I mean, and when I saw him, I met him, I thought, okay, shoot me before I turn into him. Oh. You know what I mean? A man that's completely hollowed out. And I told everyone, I was at Washington, D.C., I said, I'm going to write my notes. Shoot me now. I'm going to go through the pain and agony of writing my notes. Just to have in 7 years' time, you shoot me then. It's kinder if you shoot me now. All right, so basically, but Praveen, so what I did, I was on my island in the Maldives, and I downloaded, prayer and fasting, downloaded the Akashic record, got the construction of the Vajra and built it. Okay. The real one, right? Which is male and female blades put together. Your timing is perfect. Enter stage right, Praveen. Right? Why? I only just got the pattern put in last week. Wow. And there's a 2-hour lecture, which is, in my opinion, and I know I'm biased, the best lecture in the world ever on linking my technology and the Plasmoid unification model. Actually, there's several names that you would know
Malcolm, we gotta let Praveen talk to a little. Let's stick to India too. The Vajra.
Yeah, I wanted to get his take on the Vajra, George.
Yeah, let's hear what Praveen probably knows as much about Vajra Iconography.
And for anyone watching who doesn't know what a vajra is, let's
excellent.
Let's include everybody watching going, what's a vajra?
How about Johanna?
Praveen, what's
yeah,
that?
Praveen, okay, we'll give it to
Praveen. Can take this one for sure.
What a vajra is in general and to you.
Can you get a picture up there, George or Johanna? You've got a picture.
Yeah,
yeah. So, if you guys are talking about a vajra, I hope Malcolm is talking about this. Are we talking about the weapon of Indra, Malcolm? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So if you look at ancient texts, Lord Indra, right? So Lord Indra is basically the deity of thunder, lightning, all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's shown sitting on a white elephant with a strange device in his hand. It's kind of like it's a very complex device, and it's very unique. Once you see the vajra, you can't miss it. If you see any carving, you'll realize that this is a vajra. Now, what the vajra does is that it produces an enormous amount of energy from this device. We're talking about like how many joules are we talking about, Malcolm? What's like how many joules are there in a lightning strike? That's enough to power up the world, I think.
Yeah. It's well, you got I mean, depending on the intensity of it, but with the electronics I'm using, we have about, you want less than 60,000 volts. You can start from about 12,000, about 25,000 volts. But I mean, the point is that in the patent that has just been issued, and you're going to love this, you know how the vajra comes into one point, right? Like the four tongs into one point.
Yes.
My design is the vajra.
Oh, fantastic.
Right. So we fire off and make plasmoids. Now, I figured out I was going to ask you, but waiting for this question 8 years with Randall. I said, we've got to get a hold of Praveen, because there's the name for the like the plasmoids or shamir that's known, EVOs, but there's a name in the Sanskrit which I just I think it's called the something N, and there is a word for the energy coming off the vajra.
Vidyut? That's a Sanskrit word. The energy coming, it's called vidyut. That's the
Vidyut.
Yeah, vidyut.
That's what we need to use. I'll change all my notes, George. Yeah. So the cosmic sovereign is introducing. They say that. Can you spell that out?
If we're talking about the word vidyut, there's a word called VIDWUT. Okay, so
beautiful.
Yeah, so
folks, just a little program that I'd love to share some photos of the vajra, but I've really this Riverside. When you open up sharing, you cannot hit the little button on the bottom right, and I hate to be so tedious.
Can you find one of those images, Johanna?
I did. I thought I just shared it. Let me try one more time.
Yeah, I've had this problem on
the not just the vajra, but my turbine. Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on.
No, let's get so we can share. I cannot share is the bottom line.
So
the point is to Praveen.
Can you see now?
I figured out.
Can you see now my shared screen?
Yeah, but it's not my vajra.
No, that's just a vajra.
Right. Okay.
I cannot. I've actually got to drop out and back in. I'll see you on a second, or I can't get rid of this box for sharing. I'll see you in just a second.
We'll take over.
Yeah, Johanna, if you type in VAJRA.
VAJRA.
Yeah, that's the
That's sorry, I'm dyslexic.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what you're looking at, for the folks who are watching this is really interesting because I focus on the carvings, like the ancient carvings. But these vajras that you see on the screen, these are actual like metal recreations done like a few hundred years ago. These are mostly from Tibet. And you can see some of them are like really kind of fancy, and you'll see these vajras put right underneath Buddha statues in Tibet.
Yeah.
And they claim that, it gives a sacred energy. I'm sure Malcolm knows about this. When you go to Tibet and other Buddhist countries, they'll have a vajra. Sometimes it's called a kila underneath the Buddha, and they just put it on your head, like, because it kind of supposed to, it's supposed to emit like a sacred energy.
Yeah.
The vajra emits an energy called vidyut, which some people think it's the lightning, right? But it should be
exactly lightning, which is ball lightning. Exactly. Yeah.
And look at this. Okay, guys, look at this. So this is the vajra in like a kind of 4, and then this is, I screenshotted this from Bob Greenyer the other day, and he'd overlaid the ancient. Look at this. That's exactly the plasma. Oh, sorry. Bear with me. So bear with me for 1 second. I'm going to share my whole screen.
Hey, so Luke, is there a Mayan vajra? Do they hold a weapon?
Well, there sure
a powerful device.
There sure are things that on the end look very similar, but
can you see this?
Not like a quad vajra. Only on
not like a quad, but there is a thing.
But do you remember
like a
can you see
that have many prosaic explanations? But got it.
Can you see the quad plasmoid?
We can, yes.
So that is literally Bob's plasmoid, and that's the like quad vajra. That's mad. And that's and then he overlaid it with the Maltese cross, is also the exact correct like intersection between the plasmoids going on.
So Praveen, could you spell that thing that comes from the vajra again? That name?
VIDW.
Sorry, I'll get into my thing while I can do it at the same time.
VIDW.
No. Sorry, VIDYUT. Vidyut.
Oh, Vidyut.
That's a Sanskrit word that literally means electricity or lightning.
Okay.
From the energy from vajra is called Vidyut.
No way, that is exactly what's happening in the thunderstorm generator.
Yeah. Do you know, Praveen, the thunderstorm generator is an exact copy in form and function that we're using for the engines, is exactly identical to the form and function of the vajra. It has 2 ends, 432 spheres, which comes from your Kala Yugi. Okay. Yeah, is that right? Kala Yugi with the 432 in the time periods. So that was VIDYU, was it?
Warning: when you actually Google search that, this is what we see. So that's a little bit different. I mean, that's a force of his own.
Yeah.
See, there's a person with that name, because in India people still use the name. If you see video, you clicked on images because you're trying to find the image of.
Yeah, this is the images.
If you click all, the first tab, right?
Is Vidyut single?
Go down.
He's a psyop to keep us from understanding the true power of your past.
So how do I know?
This has got something to do with put in Vidyut meaning. I think this is what you should do. Put it
or Vidyut vajra.
Here we go. It's the electric current, shining, glittering lightning of the dawn. Very nice.
Dawn of a new age, George. Dawn of your age. Dawn of an old age.
That's right. New dawn of an old age, Malcolm. Exactly, man. Hey, Malcolm, tell us about how your understandings of Sanskrit and how you came about them, and where you received insight from.
Yeah, well, this is why I was trying to get hold of Praveen, because, there's some big burdens put on me as a youth. There's a lot of people, my mentors, who identified me. There's a guy from Tibet who was the head of the Tibetan military, who fought the Chinese all the way back into Africa. And when they invaded, Australia took a lot of families from displaced, took a lot of refugees from when China invaded Tibet. And so those refugees, the family ended up in Tasmania. I was 16 years old. And Praveen, I wish you had been there. I was just dying for you to be there. I downloaded the vajra, which was an impossible task. Building it was even more impossible, right? Because it was just impossibility on impossibility, right? We had to get a 1,000 generation basket weaver from Thailand to actually make it.
Oh.
It was beyond comprehension. Male and female corkscrews intertwining. So basically, you can see it on the new thing. I go to Alchemical Science, Jordan Collin, and he nailed it. 2 hours. My patent, wouldn't you believe it, just put in this week, showing the firing sequence of the vajra. And I built all the electronics and made all the plasma. Now I know the right words, because I'm going to have to change it from plasmoid now to, what's that word again? I don't
Vidyut.
pronounce it.
Yeah,
Vidyut.
Vidyut. Yeah,
Vidyut.
This is just a massive
Vidyut.
street. Yeah, Vidyut. That's just a massive, like, bolt of electricity that can kind of kill like 100 horses, basically. That's just
So it was a separate. Was it a separate notion than lightning? So it's somewhat distinct from lightning.
No,
Is there
same,
another word?
same, George, same. The same.
Or is this-
All lightning.
yeah.
Lightning.
Well, I know it's all the same in a bit, but I'm just wondering what the same word is used for a bolt of lightning. Does someone say, Vidyut? It looks like a bad, I'm not going to play golf. There's Vidyut outside.
I'm going to use that from now on.
Yeah.
So here's where it gets tricky, right? So the god of Indra, the god Indra, who's the god of lightning and thunder, sometimes he literally be like, okay, let me like release a lightning from the sky. So he'll release the Vidyut. He'll just activate his weapon, and he'll get the bolt of lightning. But sometimes he'll just point it at somebody, and he'll be like, I'm going to kill you with the lightning. And he just activates the weapon, and he just kills whoever is in front of him, right? So so we think of lightning as like it's an uncontrolled, right? That's what we think of, right? It's an act of nature. But in ancient texts, it's literally like, okay, so we can control.
You can wield it and weaponize it.
Wield it.
We can activate it whenever we want. And this is what we're seeing in the last 200 years, right? Because look, 100 years ago, people used to think that rain is just natural.
Right.
Now, what's happening in Dubai? Did you guys read the news? Like,
oh yeah, it flooded because they make it artificially rain.
Yeah. All you have to do is take like simple components like silver iodide, right? You just take silver iodide and you just take it into like helicopters. Now they don't even need helicopters. They can just release a nice little rocket from the ground, and they can just release the rain whenever they want. That's what they're doing in Dubai. They do it in many other countries now.
It freaks me out, to be honest.
Yeah,
just leave the nature. Leave it.
Yeah. We read in ancient texts, right? We read in ancient texts, like Lord Indra will be like, okay, we just release an astra or a device, and it just starts raining.
Hey, right? Praveen, we've had a couple of requests. I want to get to some of the questions because we hadn't always been the greatest about getting our questions, but they're saying they're still struggling with your volume. I can hear you pretty good.
Really?
Yeah, I've just heard it a couple of times. And somebody said, go into your internal settings and turn your volume up, but that gets to be a pain in the ass if somebody knows exactly how to do that.
Yeah.
You can play with it a lot. I hate to say it, but they're calling for it. And I can hear you okay.
I got you here. Again.
Okay, I know in your
mouth. Back in.
You guys go ahead and you guys can be.
Yeah, we'll keep rolling.
See if I can fix the mic situation.
That's all right. Yeah, I'm gonna shout out.
Yeah, go right ahead, Jan.
I'm just gonna plug mine and Luke's podcast one more time for anybody new that's joined, because me and Luke have decided to start a podcast because it's been kind of requested for a while, like separately. People be like, "Oh, you should do a podcast. You should talk about this stuff." So we're like, you know what? Let's do it. And it was really fun. It's going to be on Luke's channel, so everybody make sure that you're following Luke Cavans on YouTube.
Yeah, we just got a question from.
It's gonna be Mondays.
Go ahead, Luke.
Oh,
Tell us about the new podcast.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I've been working. I was developing my own podcast, and still am for the last, I don't even know, 10 months, recording videos. And I've even got one with George that still hasn't come out. And I had Johanna on for one or two episodes, and I had in the back of my mind, I wanted to do a buddy podcast one day, something that was live and fun, but I wasn't sure who the right person to do it with would be. So I finally had Johanna on. It was just she and I. And
you were secretly auditioning me. I didn't even know.
And by the end of it, I was like, I just knew that it was the perfect combo. I mean, I kind of knew it in the back of my mind, even like a year ago. And then so we came up with it basically on the spot. And then a few weeks later, we just premiered the first episode of the Raiders of the Past podcast. So, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'll get everyone. We'll get Praveen on. We'll get Malcolm on. We'll get everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
I call it the great intellectual weaving of long-form, unconventional history communicators.
For short, yeah, that's the short name of it.
That's right. I don't know if we're going to be able to get that on a T-shirt, but the great intellectual weaving. It's like there are people out there doing long. The world is now, if you think about it, what's one of the biggest problems? The short attention span. Everything's 30 seconds, and we, gnash our teeth, pull our hair about that all the time. But the flip side of that is the fact that there's the first time in history you've got uninhibited long-form conversation going on, right? And just as the short-form stuff, I think births negative things for society and culture to some degree, I think the long-form communication is the positive side. And then they get woven together. Then those long-form communicators are listening to others, finding their interesting people. We all watch it happen on podcasts, but we can watch our little fractal, unconventional history. You can see it live knitting together. Witness the people that are joining together independently because of the summit, that are already working together. Like you and Dr. Tankersley, and that's a little bit different thing. The podcasting, like what Danny Jones is doing, he's bringing those people on. It raises their profile. They're able to get more people on their podcasts, and so on and so forth. So,
actually, George, while you're here, we were going to ask you a bit of housekeeping for the pod. Is there a designated podcast place at the summit?
Indeed.
Can me and Luke use it?
Absolutely. We've got all the rooms you need, and we're
amazing. We wanted to do like a live reporting on Raiders for it, but we were like, great, okay.
Well, Nerdrotic's going to be there, and I think they'll do some stuff live. And Danny May, I don't know, he's not a big live guy, but Danny Jones is coming.
Cool.
It's cool as hell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Testing. I see Praveen's popped up a microphone. He's come in with the kit.
Is it working? I guess that's the question, isn't it? Is it working?
Yes.
It's working for you. Yeah, I think it's working good enough, man. It's as good as we're going to get it. Winston Montgomery wanted to know in the stream whether there's anything going on Monday, and that is obviously something deficient on our part. Because we got a full program on Monday. It just completely changes gears so that you come in Friday. We have a party Friday night. Then you have 2 days that have over them 27 separate speakers, 25 or so.
27?
And it depends on, it really depends on if you add some people for Monday. So I think it's 25 on that for 2 days. Mm-hmm. And then when you shift into Monday, that's for deep dives on 3 individual subjects.
Yep.
And those individual subjects are Malcolm Bendall and the Thunderstorm Generator, and he's going to be joined by Bob and Jordan Collin in that classroom, and they'll talk as long as we can keep them in there. I figure a minimum of 6 hours, right? Questions, talk, and there we may have the machine, lots of slides to show, etc. Then we've got Randall Carlson, gig. Yeah, he'll bring people in there to speak with him, but of course, he can handle 8 hours himself. And then we've got really cool Scott Walter, Haley Ramsey, and the #1 Templar in the world, Tim Hogan, right? I actually did a podcast with Tim earlier this week. And Tim is of the sacred Western tradition, Praveen. He's keeping all these secrets for the West. But if you follow it all back, and we had a nice talk about that, you can't distinguish East from West if you go back to the origin of these ideas.
Okay.
They're literally, and I think they're in the middle. That's why the Templars had to go in there. Yeah.
And Scott said that they had a bunch of stuff that they were getting like permission to reveal and show, and like artifacts and stuff.
That is also live and in motion, just like the thunderstorm generator is. That they have some. They actually have physically a dozen different arcs, as they call them.
Yeah. And also just to link. Sorry, go on.
No. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that one of the offshoots, or another angle that you can use some of the technology that Malcolm is researching it with sort of plasmoid technology, is the theory is that plasmoids could be used or were used to cut stone. So if you can, because Bob on his channel, he was talking about an experiment that they did where literally plasmoids removed not even removed, like literally disappeared a chunk of copper pipe. There is a perfect circle that's missing out of the end of a copper pipe. And so they were theorizing that it would be possible to remove stone or slice stone, cut stone, shape stone. So that's something that I'm looking into with Bob and Malcolm. And I think that it's an interesting thing, because everyone's going, well, how did they cut the stone? How did they cut the stone? And I'm going, I mean, yeah, maybe they did, because I know that in the Bible, there's things about Solomon had this shamir that could cut stone, and apparently it was active, and then the story goes that it just stopped working. But Solomon was able to cut stone with this thing that was sort of described as it looked like a kind of sluggy snail or something. Anyway, it's weird.
It looks like the things that appear in the plasmoid test by Winston Bostick in the 1950s.
Yeah, and when you look at the like magnified up close at all of the debris of all of the chemicals after the plasmoids have gone through them, some of them do look like little slugs, and we were like, no way, it's like a microscopic shamir. But we were like, okay. So I guess I can say it now. I have passed to Bob a piece of polished granite that came into my possession somehow. I don't remember how, from the Giza plateau. So it's a piece of Egyptian red polished granite. You know the stuff that's super polished and curved near the Valley Temple and the Sphinx Temple. So somehow, I don't know how, I got some of that in my possession. And so I've donated it to science so it can be studied in the SEM and see if there is any evidence of how it was polished or cut. Because if there is evidence of plasmoids, it should show up now that we know what we're looking for. So that's as far as I know at the moment. But I mean, why not? Rule it out.
We got you in the suit now, man. But it kind of plays to your work, because what this does, and you got to be careful, and we're explorers. We're out on the hairy edge, and maybe we'll find ourselves too deep in the jungle, or have fooled ourselves about what we're seeing out there, right? But we're all deep in the jungle. And what it does is it starts to make things that seem mysterious and spiritual and almost kind of silly. It starts to lend them some credibility if there is such a power and such a phenomenon as being described. And that we seem to be confirming. It says that these weren't all campfire stories, as I call them. that there was a literal truth behind it, and maybe it's been exaggerated and mythologized to some extent, but it makes it makes it more accessible and approachable. And that's one of the things that India is not, for at least most Westerners. It's fascinating, but it almost feels like you've got to, I think that's why people study India. You hear people that sit down and spend years coming to know your country. Yep. You're a wonderful antidote to that. Could you speak to that phenomenon, just the overwhelming complexity of the Indian story and the mythology there?
So if you look at ancient Indian texts, right, and this is where we're going, right? So now, if you look at historical evidence, which is, if anybody has studied history, evidence comes in many forms. For example, there's textual evidence, there's non-textual evidence. The perfect example of a non-textual evidence would be carvings, quains, and so on. And a perfect example of textual evidence, which is basically text, right? So you find text in palm leaves in India going back to more than 2,000 years. And then you also find inscriptions on stones on the walls of temples. That's another classic example of textual evidence. Okay, so when you read these texts, you can clearly see that right off the bat, immediately you start wondering, what is this all about? Because they start talking about flying machines, they start talking about powers, which are completely out of the world, but it's also eerily reminiscent of what we use today, right? So, for example, they would say a mantra, and you would have light. And a person today, 100 years ago, it was like, oh, this is just pure fiction. But today, people are wondering, oh, this is basically what we do with an Alexa and a smart bulb, right? Today, you can be like, Alexa, turn on my light bulb. And that's what it does for you today, right?
Hey, Siri, turn on the torch. Of course, it doesn't work. I know I can walk in and say, turn on the bedroom lights, and they will pop up.
You know, guys, I was literally speaking with my boyfriend the other day, and we were like, this is a new phenomenon. Well, maybe it's old actually, but in our generation where we can talk to technology, but how embarrassing is it when it doesn't answer you, and then you realize you're just literally talking to a wall.
Yeah.
And you're like,
I think I got another trick.
Hey Google, Siri, do this.
The torch red. Oh my God.
It knows. Technology knows, and they just like to humble you just like a little bit. And I'm always there just like talking to the wall, being like, fine, I didn't want to talk to you anyway. But how weird is that? Like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, there will soon be a generation of people that won't ever remember when you didn't talk to technology, or technology for them was like touchless. Whereas I remember like dialing up to the internet and putting my modem in, and you had to take the phone out to put the internet on and all of that weird stuff. But
yeah, we're just a couple of cords getting plugged in to having it answer us like ChatGPT does in text. They've already got it coming. They just hadn't really rolled it out, but it's going to get really weird. Praveen, do you like tech? Are you a tech guy? Or?
I like tech. I like to work with a lot of tech. I wish I had enough time to. I actually, to be honest with you guys, I tried to recreate a Vimana, a mercury powered Vimana, in 2017. I've just gotten like tons of mercury, and we tried to basically create, like a vortex powered Vimana, like a flying machine. Some people have already tried it, and to be honest with you, I failed. I couldn't get that working, and this is the most fascinating part, right? To me, it's really fascinating because I know that Malcolm was online. He was talking about creating such a machine. It's not just him. I did it. I failed. I wish I had the time to put my hands on it at least a few hours a week. I just don't have it anymore. And then this is not just Malcolm or Praveen Mohan, right? We have great minds like Leonardo da Vinci trying to do the same. We have ancient India. There was a guy called Bhaskara. He was a great mathematician. He did all these calculations. He knew the zero, the pi, all these like Fibonacci numbers and everything, right? And he wanted to create a free energy device, right? So this is not a new quest, right? Because we're trying to solve, like Tesla was doing this, right? Right? And once Tesla came on and said, let's do energy, and he built a tower called the Wardenclyffe Tower.
Yeah,
I'm sure Malcolm would know about this, but Tesla built a giant tower called the Wardenclyffe Tower, and he said, "Look, what's the worst?"
Malcolm, we're getting some kind of bad feedback since you joined.
Yeah, he has to mute it.
Can you mute?
If you mute yourself, Malcolm, because we can hear Praveen through you. Just communicate with us telepathically. We'll get it. Don't worry. I'm gonna just keep going, Praveen. I'm just gonna share Malcolm's image of his prototype.
Yeah,
the turbine.
Yeah, so what Tesla was doing was you know this. You all of you guys know about the story, right? So Tesla was building alternate current, which was much better than Edison's direct current, right? He was building AC, right? And he knew the technology of AC or alternate current, while Edison was the proponent of the DC, right? And obviously Tesla's technology was better, right? So after a while, Tesla started to build a huge tower called the Wardenclyffe Tower, right? And what was the most important new feature of that tower is that you don't need wires to give electricity to the entire town. Like for miles and miles, you don't need wires, right? You can give electricity without wires, right? So this is what Tesla was working on. And what does JP Morgan ask him, right? He was the one who was he was the business partner of the actual inventor, right? So what does JP Morgan say? What was the first question after looking at the Wardenclyffe Tower? He's like, how do we charge the people? How do we meter this, right? And once Tesla says, we don't want to do that, we want to give them free power.
Free.
JP Morgan pulled out, and the whole Wardenclyffe Tower, you still have some remnants of this, right?
Praveen, this is really cool, man. We've just brought you into another study. This is going to go a lot of different places, and I hope Malcolm could get it straightened out there. But before he dropped off earlier, like he said, we've spent a lot of time. I was over there for 10 days, but real carefully, just first, that I think Praveen has literally got something to add to this as we figure out exactly how it meshes with ancient traditions. And we don't want to take any of his time. He's a busy guy, but it sounds like we got his interest now. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would love to see. I mean, obviously, it's like what Malcolm was telling me is getting me very excited. Right? Because on one hand, he's talking about something similar to a free energy device, a device that takes input very less or there's no input, and it's going to give an output that's humongous, right? That's kind of like the free energy device. It violates several laws of physics and thermodynamics, right? That's what it is, right? We shouldn't work, but I'm hoping that it will work, right? Because all the ancient texts talk about such a device, right? So on the other hand, Malcolm is also coupling this with ancient India, right? He's not simply saying that, okay, I'm building a free energy device, right? Because look, I mean, Leonardo da Vinci was trying to build a free energy device. Everybody, all the great minds literally thought like, no, this doesn't make any sense, right? We need to create energy without getting the same amount of input. Look, I mean, the earth has been spinning for how long, right? If you're into that kind of theory. And we do think that energy should be free, right? Yeah. So Malcolm is talking about like a free energy device, and he's also kind of coupling this. He's drawing inspiration and he's modeling this based off of ancient India. So it's got me like very excited. I'm excited to see an actual prototype, right? To see how this works.
I tell you, not only Malcolm, but one of the independent investigators, Bob Grenier, who has a channel called the Martin Fleischmann Memorial Project, and you'll get familiar with that, Praveen, when we send you some links. So he's doing live streams. He'll have one later today on the technology out of California where they have it now. But Bob, coincidentally or not coincidentally, he spent 10 years in India. He has a deep and profound understanding for a Westerner of the nation. And he said he was not a very, the way Bob tells it, I should let him tell himself, but he wasn't into hardcore alternative stuff and ancient history interpretations and whatnot. And now he is.
Hardcore.
Yeah, hardcore. And he can go into your temples and do much the same that you can. Not to your degree. No one can, because there's only one Praveen Mohan in the world, right? But he can interpret iconography and find threads of this knowledge that make it obvious that they're screaming at us, that these maths are important,
Right.
that this geometry is important. And it might have even been that later they had lost why it's important, and they're still talking about it, just as we're still using Templar crosses or whatever it may be. Right. Yeah. And so, yeah, Greener's going to be at the Cosmic Summit, and y'all are going to have a great time meeting each other, I think, Praveen.
Yeah. I'm totally excited about, because, I was thinking that we're just going to go there and we're just going to listen to a bunch of real interesting people talk, but to look at an actual machine, right?
Yeah, man.
It's going to be like a totally different game.
We're going to have that thing running on and off and lecturing. It's the only thing that's not going to be, I described the weekend, we have 27 speakers and we have classroom demo on Monday and Malcolm out of classroom. But during the weekend, we're going to have the machine in a facility at the hotel where on and off, depending on how it's running and timing and whatnot, we're going to be doing ad hoc demonstrations and lectures. So it means you'll have to go leave the main room, but everybody who's going gets a live stream VOD, video on demand anyway. So nobody's really going to miss anything. Mm-hmm. There's the amazing Malcolm Bendall. Let's let him in.
Malcolm's doing the do-si-do dance in and out.
There's a word you're going to have to learn, Praveen, contested.
Yeah, contested.
Yeah, I feel like
now, quickly, Praveen,
go on.
You can prove everything for us here. The crenulated iron spheres, which are the plasmoids, to prove conclusively that Galactic Temple and all the other temples are done from the top down with a supercomputer plasmoid brain, which we're now calling, what's the new name for us? We're changing from plasmoid to
Vidyut.
Vidyut, huh?
Vidyut. I love that word.
Vidyut.
Yeah. Find me that widget. Maybe I'll say widget. I need a widget to cut the temples.
That's the widget, the Vidyut widget.
So, Praveen, this is how simple it is. That we prove in the thunderstorm generator, which is a vajra, and with my test work, that I did bench work and test work on the turbine. The turbine I delivered, I was told when I was 16 years old to deliver the vajra back to Delhi, and I delivered it on exactly the day I was told when I was 16 last year to the Admiral of the Indian Navy, who George Howard has met.
Admiral Shekhar Singha, man. I picked him up at the airport. This is how this stuff goes, Praveen. So Malcolm tells you, there's a lot of crazy stuff. And believe me, you hadn't heard the half of it. And we had the machine here in Raleigh. We were getting it tested in a pretty sophisticated facility. And Malcolm wanted to bring some people in to see it. And one of them was someone he'd been talking about for some months. And that was the Indian Admiral. Mm-hmm. Okay, so, he's kind of like an admiral, maybe he's a junior admiral or, whatever. You don't figure it'd be all of that. Okay, so I'm going out to pick him up at the airport and I'm sitting in the cell lot. And I said, I haven't Googled this guy yet. He's an admiral? He's going to be out there. So I Google him. Not only is there, he speaks on your major television programs like the Fox News analysts here in the U.S., where you bring on the retired general. And he tells you about buying the new Raphael fighters from Italy and stuff. Like, yeah, he was head of the Indian Navy. And then I got all nervous because I had to pick him up at the airport. I'm like, oh, shit, that's damn super VIP, And he comes out and he's got the big old brushy mustache. And, nice. He was an Indian admiral. And he's just a wonderful fella. And we would then have stayed in touch since then. Didn't get to see him while we were in India. But I text with him often. And maybe we can get Shekhar here. Malcolm, he's got a free pass if he wants to come.
This is the most profound thing. Praveen, you can prove it all with a magnet, because all those temples, the Kailashi temple, cut from the top down, it will have like quadrillions, that's 10 to the 15th, maybe 10 to the 20th microspherules, which are iron oxide, which are magnetic, which you can pick up with a magnet, put on a microscope, scanning electron microscope. You can see them with a good microscope. And those spheres are only the product of ball lightning.
Wow.
That's what I'm looking for on the granite from Giza. If it's on there, then it's like, okay, it's a clue.
And you have, get this, it's called the Shamir in the Christian Judaic thing, because King Solomon.
Oh yeah, I mentioned that, Malcolm. When you were out, I mentioned that.
That they were worms, but they are worms. They're hollow tubes that dive in and out of the stainless steel as if it wasn't there. And they even sticking into the inside of our stainless steel 3 millimeter thick wall on the inside where there is no
Malcolm on his 2 megabyte Wi-Fi. Oh, he's gone. See, I think they're listening to us, obviously.
Where's Malcolm? Is he in like a remote place or something? He doesn't have like a high-speed Wi-Fi.
I don't know. It happens every live stream, and I'll have to ask him it sometime. He's got a nice little house beside a place where the large machine is installed, south of Heathrow Airport, and they put him up there, and they got a wired fence around him with some, some security, and that's Malcolm. But he is out to tell us.
He's in London? Is it what you're telling me?
Yes, he's in London, Praveen.
I didn't know that. I thought he was in the US.
I didn't think about that either.
No, Praveen, he's here. He wants to meet you while you're here. We could, up to you. We can road trip to Avery, or we could road trip to the machine if you wanted, because that's whatever.
Yeah,
whatever.
I'll think about it, because
that's tough, man.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying that's a tough decision. Excuse me for interrupting. I wouldn't blame y'all for going to Avebury, but it'd be pretty neat to see it with Malcolm too.
Or I'm sure Malcolm will probably facilitate you going tomorrow or whenever, just before you leave.
Yeah, it's kind of gotten interesting because I'm here for a week, but like today I was talking to Johanna and I had to rush from London. I'd met a couple of people in London. I called her and said, can I just be sitting next to Johanna? Because I just took a train from London and I had to be here. And then tomorrow I'm going to Reading.
Nice.
Yeah. So there's I have lots of people to.
Oh, yeah. You're busy, busy schedule.
Yeah, I didn't want that. I wanted a day off in London, But it's
another way to handle it. We could Malcolm might want to jump on the train with you guys out to Avebury.
No, I think driving. I think we're
driving out. We're road tripping.
Yeah,
that's cool, guys. I went out there to Megalithomania. Hugh Newman.
No, let's call him a new human. He likes
new human.
New human. That's great. So new human. I was over there to see the machine, just to go over there and go to, as they call it, the dark site, and go see it, and actually go over there with Johanna and stuff. But it turned out
I'm really excited. I could do it. I don't know. I have to talk to Johanna about this.
Yeah, we'll work it out.
I would probably kind of go. I didn't know that Malcolm was in London. I thought he was, because I'm going to meet Rupert Sheldrake.
Okay.
Oh, you're meeting Rupert?
Yeah, I'm meeting Rupert. I think Malcolm's.
I'd love to be in on that.
Yeah, no kidding. Tell him we want him to come to the Cosmic Summit next year to check it out, and we'll give him a free video on demand. And if he wants to come, we'll fly him over, actually. But it's only a month.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Because he's a renowned scientist who likes to push the boundaries of science.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, people are very kind of very upset with him, as you can imagine, because anybody who pushes the boundaries,
people get angry.
Yeah, but I've been a big fan of Rupert Sheldrake. He's an amazing guy who pushes the boundaries of his thinking, which is really awesome.
Are you recording with him, or is this just kind of a personal thing, or both?
I I'm just gonna go and talk to him. I'm gonna record it. I don't know if I'll put it on my YouTube channel or social media or something like that. As you know very well, I don't post that much stuff on social media. I actually like to learn more, like more and more and more about ancient sites, like machines, like talking to people. I put very little on my social media. But I want to actually learn. So if I go and meet Malcolm, it will be more about actually learning, like what's his tech, rather than making a video about it. And that's what I really want to know. I would really like to know. And this is what happens. Like people be like, okay, why are you not putting any temples? Even though you went to Thailand, Indonesia, in India, I've gone to like half a dozen temples now. Because in the past 5 months, we haven't posted almost any of it, because we
that's what I was wondering the same thing. I did just check when you said Indonesia. I was like, did I miss his most recent videos? And you do have 2 or 3 up there from Indonesia, right?
Yeah. So we don't just go to a site and post it online. What we do is we go there and we completely document. Let's say if it's a temple, we just completely document all the carvings, everything about the architecture, and come from we document this 100%. We take like half a dozen people, right? And it's not a kind of like a casual tour or anything. We kind of drive them crazy. I drive them crazy, I should say. And these poor interns who who are like, hey, I want to join Praveen Mohan, and they've come, right?
Yeah.
Who are all like really young, and I wake them up at like 4:00, and we go drive to like a remote temple, and we be there all day. And we don't even take selfies in those places. These people, because when we do real research, it's kind of grueling. It would be easy to be like, hey guys, we're here in the temple. That'd be easier. But this is where the gold is, right? Because when we document, let's say 1,000 carvings, we find 2 carvings with really like weird stuff, like they may show like a dinosaur, for example.
Yeah. Certainly did. I saw a dinosaur there in Indonesia. I think that was Indonesia, wasn't it? Yeah.
Cambodia.
Yeah. Was it Cambodia?
Top Prom temple. Yeah. This is the top prom. It shows a Stegosaurus, right? It does in Top Prom temple with all the spikes on the back. I'm sure that's what you mean, right?
Well, it was the one that you had. It didn't know spikes on the back, I don't think, right? Yeah.
Well, I've shown a bunch. I've shown.
Yeah, you've shown a bunch.
I've shown at least a dozen extinct animals carved in temples. But in order to find those, like just one carving, you literally have to and this is what surprises people, right? People be like, oh, I live in this area and I've gone to this temple a dozen times. I never seen it, because you're not looking at each and every piece of it, right? So
that's your superpower, man.
Yeah.
Is you're able to walk into those bewildering scenes and take it all in and extract that which is interesting and particularly unexplained. It's a great story. Hey, Praveen, just a quick personal question, because you're one of those people that, have millions of followers, but we just see your professional side. Do you have a wife and family? Do you have a family?
No, I wish I had a couple of wives. No.
Okay. You're still looking for 2? Still looking for the 2 that get along together?
No family. See, I think you can understand the reason why I'm able to go everywhere and just keep working is because I just by myself.
I was kind of wondering. Yeah. Huh. Yeah. Well, Luke, you're coming up on your 1-year anniversary, man. How is it?
So we got married the weekend after Cosmic Summit of last year. So
mad. What a 2 weeks for you.
Yeah, I know.
It's incredible.
The time has flown by. But I'm with you, Praveen. I could use a couple of wives. No,
I'm standing up for Lauren there. Absolutely not.
I'm just kidding. Praveen, 2 things actually. I totally feel what you're saying when you say you have these poor interns that you drag out into the jungle when you wake them up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I just took a guy with me to be a cameraman for me, and he's one of my friends. But he lives in Pennsylvania, which is a much more mild climate than down here in Texas. It's not nearly as hot, especially not down in the Yucatan. And so we were down in the jungles of the Yucatan for 9 days. And it's a shock to a lot of people. And
you're no longer friends with him. He just stopped talking to you.
Yeah. No. I'm just kidding. We talk every day. He's gonna come with me again. But it's whenever I put out invitations for people to come on an expedition with me, I've got to put out a lot of qualifiers. I'm like, okay, you got to drink a lot of water. You got to be in some kind of decent shape. Can't be scared of snakes. Can't be scared of crocodiles. Can't be scared of dangerous people. There's a lot of qualifiers. I'm out. And then another thing is, so here's something I'm doing some research in, and what you're saying, that you walk up to these ancient Indian temples, and there are people who have been going to these places their whole lives, but I feel like a lot of times when you walk up to the facade of a temple, you're kind of overwhelmed with the iconography that's on the temple. A lot of people are, and so it kind of all blurs together. But when you're somebody who studies it, you can pick apart little pieces of it. And I don't know a whole lot about ancient India. I don't know if it's like in Egypt, where you can go and read the hieroglyphs as well as the symbology, and you can do that in the Maya world. They have hieroglyphs and symbols. But I was curious. I'm doing some research right now. Are you familiar with the term called meandering art? Have you heard of this before? Or meandering patterns?
No.
I don't think
this is like a kind of an illusory carving, which you don't fully understand, but you look at it in various angles, you see different things.
Sort of. So a meander is something that you see at Greco-Roman sites, and you see it all over the ancient Americas, but it's this spiral that looks just like this. Have you guys ever seen this before?
Oh, I know what this is.
Spiral.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that before, George?
Meandering, what was it called?
The Caduceus spiral?
No, he's saying it's like a labyrinth, but it's square.
It's a square spiral.
Hold on. I got it.
Okay, so we can get it up, JJ.
I know this.
Spirals are very important to our man, Mr. Bendall.
Like this one?
Yes.
It goes spiral.
Yes. So this sort of spiral, they come in all different little patterns, but they're all shockingly similar. You will see that all across the Mediterranean. You'll see it in Egypt, Greek, Italy. You'll see it in the Maya world. You'll see it at the Zapotec Temple of Mitla. You'll see it in pottery in Central America.
I think it's in Hercules, the Disney movie.
Yeah.
Sure.
You'll see it in all of these South American cultures, and you'll see it in ancient North American cultures on their pottery as well. In fact, I'm doing an expedition to Florida at the end of the year. I haven't even announced this, but there are pottery fragments that have been found in ancient Floridian civilizations that have these squared spirals as well. And that is one thing that connects all of these ancient say all of them, but a lot of ancient cultures across the world is this squared spiral, and you can see it everywhere.
Malcolm, we'd love to hear from you on spirals, but you've got two different feeds going now, man. We can see two different blocks of you. One is video, one's not. And if you want to give us your voice back and unmute, we'll see if it's still sending feedback.
Is that right? Is that still happening?
You've still got another, it's part of, I think, why you're getting feedback. You've got another browser window open on probably your laptop, and you're looking through your phone, right?
No, I haven't got the laptop. It's not on, yeah. It must be to do with this phone.
Somehow you're in it twice. Maybe go out, and you're still reverbing.
Okay, you're reverbing a little bit, but please give us your understanding. Did you hear what we were saying about the meandering spirals? Is it meandering spirals, Luke? Or
Luke, is this?
Okay, I'm going to be on for a little while.
It's generally just called meandering art, but I think
Meandering
it's kind
art.
of a really broad, or meandering patterns, meandering art. That's just a really, really broad term. But you see, I just call them squared spirals, and they're not all exactly the same shape, but at first glance, they're all shockingly similar. And I'm almost certain that they have some kind of they all have some kind of similar origin. They're just too similar.
One Rosemary in the chat just said, I'd like to hear more about what Praveen was talking about. Art on carvings that look different from different angles. Can you elaborate, Praveen?
I'll tell you in a minute. Who was it that asked us?
Rosemary, who's one of my dear digital friends.
Hi, Rosemary. How are you? Just before I get to that, I wanted to show you this screen share. You guys can see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, on the right side, you see this one, right? Luke?
Let's see. I can't. Are you looking at the, okay.
On the right, on the very right.
Yes, okay, I can see it.
Yeah, is this what you're talking about? Something similar?
Well, I mean, maybe there are some similar shapes in there, but it's not exactly the same, no.
Okay, okay.
Would it be Mayan? Can she search Mayan meander?
You could. I mean, I haven't.
Because I can show you a carving that's very similar to this in an ancient temple. I'll send you a video, Luke. Sure. That's just for you.
Swastika, which is so commonly used in India, is that maybe an example?
Did you see?
They're very similar to swastikas. So have you ever seen the murals at Baalbek where you can see the swastikas on the facades of the temples? So these right here, Johanna, all of these up at the top, do the one, the 4 seamless meanders. That's going to be the 5th one, I believe.
There you go.
Yeah, so you click on that. Now, it's not specifying what cultures these come from, but I wouldn't be surprised if those, I mean, it's almost impossible to distinguish them, but these are Greek and Mesoamerican, all of these that you're looking at, and they copy all of these same spiraled patterns.
Yeah. So that's weird. So it's in Greece and in Mesoamerica.
Well, it's in Greece and across all of the Americas.
Like this. This is how they're made up.
Yes. Yep. It's different. It's different sections. Like if you take a large meander and you would keep spiraling it, and then you segmented it out. Oh, there's one complex Greek meander right there. That's at Baalbek, right there. Those are found on temple facades at Baalbek.
Really?
And you see how similar that is?
Yeah.
There are Mesoamerican meanders wrapped inside of that. So it's what you're looking at is swastikas are not actually, like, your mind goes to where all those connect, but really what it is multiple meanders laid on top of each other that make up a swastika.
It's like a double layered meander doing a dance.
Yeah. And so those meanders are found all around the Mediterranean world and across all of the Americas. You'll find some combination of those meanders on ancient Mesoamerican, like stone temples, pottery fragments. You'll find it everywhere. So it's,
Philip O'Fanlon, my friend in Ireland, who's building a thunderstorm generator, classic guy. He says Celtic knot also. Got the Celtic knot?
Really?
Yeah. Escher files, somebody else is bringing up.
Similar.
Here's Corky Goss jumping in. Pix invented the Celtic knot and did them. Do you say Celtic or Celtic? I never used the term, so just
Celtic. I think that's the
Celtic,
from the book of
Celtic. Yeah,
that's what I thought, at least. I mean, that's how most of the people say it.
Celtic.
So Pix invented Celtic knots and did them in melted stones.
Yeah, this is a similar.
There is a Navajo use for that too. So, and then Paul says similar to Adena and Hopewell Indian artifacts found in Ohio. So this is the kind of, I love crowdsourcing this kind of stuff. I mean, we can figure all that out in an afternoon, but you ask a crowd, you're going to get an answer.
Solomon's knot.
That Celtic spiral. Yep. Exactly the same thing seen in all over Maya art. That's the
I recognize that one. I recognize that too. That's found in loads of places. Bob Greenyer shows a lot of that one.
I was about to say Bob would be all over this, man.
Yeah, he'll
You're
Yeah.
going to enjoy his channel, Praveen. He does not spare on the drama and the suspense. I mean, now he'll also go on at great length with some things that sound like word salad to the average ear and whatnot. But
yeah,
pleasant
he speaks
word
Bob.
salad. Yeah, he speaks Bob, man.
It's very
He's an
sciencey.
unusual character like we all are, you know, but not terribly unusual, not a threatening character. He's a wonderful man. And he's smart as shit's what he is. He's kind of my guru lately. I don't choose my gurus lightly, you know, nor do they give them much respect when they become my guru. But he's there now. Well, along with Malcolm, of course, but they're different slices of guru. Malcolm, we're going to have to get you a Starlink, man. One of those things from Tesla.
Malcolm always does dual role. I can always see like two.
Turn your phone off and on, and just kill the other window. You've got two instances.
We have to get back to Rosemary, right? Because she was asking me a question.
Oh yes, answer Rosemary.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Rosemary, we just got like kind of distracted with all the meandering art. But this is very interesting because it's somewhat similar to this. You know how ancient Indian temples are, Rosemary? Because you'll have like lots of amazing carvings with like extraordinary details. They put weird stuff in ancient Indian carvings, right? There'll be like a god who's kind of shooting an arrow at the bad guy, right? But at the back, they'll put like a little detail, right? Where like a baby elephant is drinking milk from its mom, right? Most of us have never seen that. Right? Most of us have not seen like a baby elephant drink milk from the mother, and we don't even know if this happens. But the ancient builders of India kind of observed that, right? So, and they put that little detail there, right? So this is what ancient India is famous for. But when we talked about this kind of like, there is ambiguous art in almost every ancient temple, because most of the carvings are not ambiguous, right? So you know exactly what you're looking at. This is a god, this is a demon, this is a dancer, etc. But in some parts, they'll put a carving which is open to interpretation. Like it depends on your mind. Okay, so classic example. Let me show you, because can the viewers see the screen I share? If I share
I hope so. I know I can't share because of some setting on my computer.
You can. You worked last time.
Okay. All right. So here it is. So for example, they'll make stuff like this. So I hope you can see this, Rosemary. So they put a thing like they'll make a carving like this.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, it doesn't seem to like mean anything perfectly. Okay. So you can't make out like, what is it? So if George is looking at it, he could probably tell me what it is, right?
I see a reptile handing a bouquet of flowers.
Yeah, I see like a lizard on someone's head or something.
Yeah, handing something.
What about Luke?
Yeah, it's interesting. It looks like some kind of frog man crawling over a boulder, holding
operating a piece of machinery.
Yeah, so this is what we're talking about. So they put these ambiguous carvings in ancient temples. Now look at the carving from this side.
Right? Oh yeah. Now it's like a baby monkey and a bigger monkey, or like a leopard and a baby monkey is like crawling up. Weird.
Yeah, and then kind of look at this one now. This is from the front, okay?
Oh yeah, I see the baby monkey and the frog.
Excuse me.
So, and this is what happens, and this is what I was talking about. This is what we're talking about, because it kind of now
looks less like a lizard now.
Yeah. So, and if you see this, it's going to be even more kind of like really weird. And you have all these weird things come out of the same carving. It's deliberately carved this way in an ambiguous way, right? So I'll show you a classic example of what it is, right? So I mean, I don't know if I should show it, George. I suppose everybody's over 18.
Yeah, no, go ahead. We're okay with genitalia. Ah! Okay. I'm okay.
See this?
Saucy vase.
See this? Okay, so now if we ask George, if we ask Luke, or if we ask Johanna, and especially Rosemary, since she was asking me that question, right? If Rosemary is below 10 years old, all she'll see is a bunch of dolphins.
Right? Oh, I see the dolphins now. I see how. Right? Oh, I was corrected.
Right? Oh, yeah. So if Rosemary or if anybody's watching this and they're only like their age is in like a single digit, if they're like 1 or 3 years to 10 years old, they'll just see a bunch of dolphins in a bottle. That's all they can see.
Praveen, that's all I'm seeing. What else are you?
You've been married for a year, man. That doesn't work anymore.
Yeah,
so, I'm already pressing my luck with her, so I
can. So and this is the point of making ambiguous carving. So the carving is made in a way. So let's say you were trying, if somebody watches this carving and this person is really devout, they may see a monkey god, Hanuman, okay, in India. So not this, something like this, okay. So
could I share something with you guys?
Yeah, sure.
Here, I'm going to show you all something. I haven't done this before, so let's see how this works. All right, check this out. So this is this is in the Maya world.
Oh no, it looks
so. I'm just interested if Praveen may see some similar things. So these are called zoomorphs, and they're giant stone megaliths that you can see right here. There's the facade, half the head of a crocodile. This right here is the head or the face of a monkey, and then this is this is like the jaws of another animal. These little, you see, I hate that it highlights it, but you can see that little spinning spiral right there that we were showing earlier.
Oh, the meandering.
Yeah.
Meander spiral.
That's one example of it, but there's more examples that are more square. But you can see that little spiral in his in the crocodile's eye there. If I scroll down more, you can see this turtle crocodile monster that's made into a block, but you've got hieroglyphs on the side. But you have more. You can see this. It's like a king sitting in the jaws of a rattlesnake. And so there's, I don't know. When I see stuff like this, I always think of ancient India as well. Almost every time when I go to the Maya world, I'll be talking to my professor or whoever, and I'll be like, man, some of this stuff sure does look like ancient India, doesn't it?
Yeah,
or some of the Eastern civilizations. And he really does think that there are more similarities than differences between them. So yeah, there's a lot.
Hey, I've got a quick program note. Just want to say, because I figure we got about another 15 minutes in us, and I got a message from marketing here, and we're going to do something special. Okay, this is important stuff. We want more people to see it. We're going to stay on for the next 15 minutes. And everyone who purchases a Megafauna ticket, if you go and buy a Megafauna pass to the Cosmic Summit in, say, the next 15 or 20 minutes, we'll give you a free ticket to Malcolm's classroom, right? So you can come see everybody on the weekend and then come to the $250 classroom for free, okay? So just buy a ticket, and we will attribute a classroom to each one of those tickets. I think we do it behind the scenes. But yeah, so just want to toss that out there. Let's pick back up on the conversation. Malcolm, how you doing? Can we keep you this time, do you think, buddy?
It's obviously important it's connected. Now, on the Mercury engine, I worked as the chief scientist of China on the basis that I get access to Sanskrit text and the Mercury engines in the pyramids. Your problem being, you have to realize, look at my bubbler, my plasmoid generator. That's exactly what that Mercury is. And look at the most important thing you need to know in your Mercury engine is this. Oppenheimer and Schneider's mathematical paper in 1939 about imploding bubbles. It's the bubbles inside the mercury that are the magic. The mercury collapses with such pressure as that it's a multiplied, highly charged plasmoids, or as we now know, widgets. Did you hear that?
Some of it. We'll have to just decipher it. Imagine if that was the last message you could send before you went and be like, the secret is to the... But I know.
This information does not come easily, man. I mean, if it's not Sanskrit, which you can't read, you can't get a clear connection across the pond here. Okay.
The is still on?
If anybody makes purchases, if you buy a ticket, by the way, I'll announce your name on here. Then we see it. Hopefully we'll have at least a couple of purchases. So go out and get your megaphone. Go ahead, Malcolm. You were asking Praveen.
Oh, was he?
No, I think Malcolm was saying that it's the bubbles inside the mercury that the pressure of the mercury caused the bubbles to implode, and that's where you create plasmoids, and that's where all the magic stuff happens. And so yeah, it's all in the bubbler. So it's all in moving water.
Yeah, and what is the imploding? You got multi-axis shear and charge separation. So, and then with the mercury, that means the mercury is actually transmuted into other elements, then harvested. But gallium is the best from my research of the Vimanas. Now, just get this: the vajra technology. You take the modern F-35 fighter. Its engine is 1,080 square inches, and it produces 40,000 pounds of thrust. The vajra, using the widgets, newly named. What's that thing again, Johanna? You've got the word right. Is that
Vidyut? Vidyut. Vidyut. Like you idiot, you vidyut.
Vidyut.
Don't get it, you vidyut.
No, if you're building that, if you're building the Kalashi temple, you just to your assistant say, hand me the widget. But the Praveen is about collapsing the bubbles, because you push through bubbles through it, which you can do just with a vacuum on one side and pressure on the other. You push through those bubbles, and then you collapse it by stopping the vacuum and turning it to pressure, and that'll collapse those bubbles, which will create the plasmoids, and that's your plasmoid drive.
Yeah, I'm obviously very excited. I was telling everybody after you dropped off, you got me real curious, Malcolm. I would really like to see. Does it take long for you to fire that thing up?
No, like a few minutes.
No.
Turn it on, turn it off.
Yeah, you weren't on, Malcolm. We were talking about a field trip that Praveen has just a little bit of time, and y'all might be able to communicate privately and put something together, which would be really cool. And
I spoke to Jan about that earlier. We can get together, because my notes seal the deal. I mean, I basically went to the Sanskrit maths, and of course all my 10 years of teaching with my Buddhist teacher, and of course then I delivered. The vajra was buried in Delhi, and so I went back with it, as I said, with Admiral. But that meant that it brought that technology back into India again, and that knowledge. But I also have the knowledge of the Mercury engine, the Vimana, because that technology, get this, Praveen, 40,000, well, that's per square inch on mine. So for the same area, it's 5,000 times more powerful than the current F-35 motor. 5,000 times. Right, 450,000 miles an hour. You can look at Winston Bostic's paper in 1957, and 200,000 pounds of thrust per square inch, which means you can lift blocks and you can cut blocks. You can prove the whole of India had this technology with a magnet, and the Kalashi temples, the ones that are cut from the top down, it can only be done with the plasmoids, the widgets.
Just like the Templar quarry that we saw at Göbekli Tepe, Malcolm. That was all cut from the top.
Enoch's home. Yeah. Unhewn rock. Unhewn rock. And I mean, and this is the really major thing. Watch, and it's only just been made, that video from Alchemical Science, Jordan Collin. He nails it. It shows my planetary redoing Tesla's work. What you quoted with JP, I nailed it. I worked with the guy that had all Tesla's technology. I infused myself with these widgets, and until I became an aerial for them, and so I could transmit and receive from them. So basically, that's how this knowledge has been won. My notes are extensive, and all of it's to do with the numbers that are in the Kali Yuga. Your 864, the sun diameter, which is 86,400 seconds in a day. The moon square is 864, 8,640. The sun square is 3456. 3456 minus, that's matter, minus 864, which is equals 2592, which is your 25,920 years of the zodiac signs. That's 2,160 years, which is the distance the moon travels in an hour. 2,160 miles is 2,160 years. In 12 hours, the moon travels 5,009 miles, the same as the year. Yeah. And in 24 hours, 5184, which, by the way, is the 580,400 is the 6 days of creation. Apply that at 60, you get Brahma all time, 311040.
All right, Malcolm, maths. Anyone's not mathematically minded like me, I'm like, But yeah, there's a lot to unpack.
It is recorded for posterity.
Oh, okay. Just talking.
I want to do. Yeah.
Go on.
No, go ahead.
Just one thing to add that I saw today, freaky that we're doing the Cosmic Summit in June, because this June we are having a 6-planet alignment. You know, that weird solar system thing that doesn't happen very often, but we're going to see 6 planets align all at once this June. And I was like,
we had an eclipse, and we had a major solar storm.
There's a lot going on in the solar system right now, so it's a lot, but 6 major planets aligning.
That's cool, Johanna. I didn't know that.
Very, very cool.
That's
well, no,
really
you did.
cool.
There we are.
So I just wanted to pitch a little bit of the summit for everybody. We're going to go into commercial mode here for a little while, and then we'll wrap up, kind of final comments and thoughts. But folks, the idea behind the Cosmic Summit is to do exactly what we're doing here, is to bring people from different parts of the unconventional history silo and get them to collaborate, teach together, cross-fertilize and whatnot. But it can't work online. This is not going to all work online. There has never been a real community created, I don't think, where people don't get together and press the flesh and break bread together and drink wine together. That's a community. So we've got the building blocks of it in this wonderful electronic network around the world that we're all engaged in and keeping in touch through, but we need a home. So buy a ticket. If you're out there listening now, please take advantage of that promo code Cosmic50 and get a $435 ticket. I mean, that's not, we're just trying to break even here, by the way. Hoping to break even, and we still got a ways to go. And if I get close to break even, we're going to do this again. And I think we're probably on a trajectory to get that without me bitching and moaning here on the call. But if we want to make sure that we have it again, and each year it's nicer and nicer and bigger and better and whatnot, we need as many people coming to the Cosmic Summit as we possibly can. And y'all are the only people that can do that. Doesn't do me any good if I buy the tickets for myself. So go on in there. If you cannot make it, then please buy a live stream now. That'll entitle you to a permanent recording of the event and also a live stream of it. So you can watch it live, and you can watch, whatever pieces and parts that you like to later, or show it to others. It'll also, that video on demand will be given to the ticket purchasers for the in-person passes. And they'll be able to watch the other room and watch it later too, which I think is kind of cool. So they're getting a nice value along with their ticket. They're going to have a video on demand. So folks, please, let's get out there and buy some tickets. We had a great day yesterday. actually the best day in weeks. And it's kind of hard to tell where this stuff comes from. But let's see if we can make it a good day today. Okay. And keep the ball rolling. And then we'll have a global home for these ideas. Not all of them are going to be right. We don't have to all agree with each other. But we're all kind of in the foxhole together, to use a term, in this. We got people, shooting over our heads, and we're in it together. And that includes the audience, because just as we're getting nasty comments on YouTube and calling you bullshitters and frauds and all that kind of stuff, people are in their home or talking to their relatives over Thanksgiving, and they're looking at them with cross eyes saying you're full of shit. I mean, we need a place, and it's going to come in a lot of forms, and the Cosmic Summit deserves to be one. And we look forward to y'all coming June 15th through 17th. Let me circle around a little bit. And actually, marketing wanted me to tell you a little bit more about that. So Friday night, so you come in, presumably coming for a weekend show. You're not going to come Saturday morning at 7:30, I wouldn't think. Come in the night before. We've got $179 hotel rooms. It's a very, very good price at a nice Sheraton like that. And Friday night, we're going to have a big party at the 5th Season Discotheque, which is the time capsule of a discotheque left from 1980 to us in Greensboro. And it stays closed up most times, but they kept all the leather all nice and supple and the brass all polished, and they're going to open it up. And we've got this just perfect party place. And we're going to have a DJ and maybe some other surprises. And that is going to be a big fun kickoff night. Everybody get to know each other, and VIPs will drink free, at least vodka up there. And then the following morning, we'll kick off, I think, 8:30. And we'll get together, and there'll be 2 sessions going all day long, or not all day long, but throughout the morning, where there'll be yin room and yang room is what we named them, yin and yang. So everybody's going to split into the yin and yang, and that's up to your preference. We hope it can be somewhat balanced. There's some concern, Malcolm, that you're going to steal everybody over there for the Malcolm show. But we split into yin and yang, and then we come back in the afternoon and hear from some of the kind of the marquee speakers with the biggest followings. And then we go and do the same thing again Sunday. And then Saturday night, we have another party back in the main stage out of the disco. And that will involve some music from some of our speakers. And that's going to be a lot of fun. It's fun to see Randall hit those drums, man. So that's Saturday night. And then we get up and we do another day where we come together, split apart, come back together in the yin and the yang room in the main stage. And then we conclude for the weekend if you buy like a Megafauna pass, a Taurid pass, or an Anunnaki pass. And then the add-on day is Monday. And that's where you have the 3 classrooms: the Plasmoid Technology classroom, the Templar classroom, and the Sacred Geometry Catastrophe classroom with Randall. And those are all on the webpage. We probably haven't publicized them enough. We're still learning on all this. But I think I got it all good. I think, as President Biden says, I think I said everything they told me to. Right? So, but they get so mad at me. He says that too. So they might get mad at me too. But yeah, I wanted to get that stuff out there. Luke, man, what you got coming up? Don't you have one more tour before the summit?
No tour before the summit. I take a trip next week. But no tours before the summits. I've got right after the summit, I've got Oaxaca, Mexico, and then Peru, and then Egypt, and then Guatemala, and then Chiapas.
Just a few.
So
go through that again. Where?
So right after the summit, I've got a tour to Oaxaca, Mexico, and then the next month is Peru, and then the next month is Egypt. I come back. When I get back from Cairo, the next day I fly to Guatemala, and then the month following that, I've got a trip to Chiapas. So,
holy shit, man! You're traveling like Levine, man. That's intense.
It's. We'll see how it all works out.
And those are public tours that you want people to join up and come with you, right? Some of them,
and then some of them are private research tours. But I'm also leading tours for the MEC, that's MEC, the Maya Exploration Center. So these aren't my own tours, but I guess for everybody watching here, at Cosmic Summit, I will be announcing, it'll be probably at the end of my presentation. I'm doing my first ever solo led tour. That's just a Loot Caverns tour, and it's going to be called Megalithic Mexico. And people who come on that are going to see every single Olmec head and every single major Mexican megalith that we know of. You're going to see all of it over the course of about 8 or 9 days. So that's kind of.
Can people sign up for that now, Luke?
Not yet. It will be announced. I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks from now, or maybe Cosmic Summit is the first time it's announced. We still have to work out all the details.
Okay, and on the last tour you did, you had several people that attended the Cosmic Summit, right? So there's a little bit of
Yep. I think we had 6 or 7 people on the Lost Cities of the Maya tour that were at Cosmic Summit. So yeah,
that is cool. Great, man. That's great. That's part of the big weaving.
Yeah. Well, and it's been awesome. I mean, I've kept up with a lot of people on email. I've gone out to dinner with several people from the Cosmic Summit that happen to stop in San Antonio and send me an email or something, or whenever I'm up near North Carolina, I've been able to meet up with a couple people. So it's been really, really cool. I mean, I feel like it opened the doors to a whole world. I feel like we all sort of live on our own little islands and have our own little interests, but that the people around us don't really share. And when you're at the Cosmic Summit, it's a type of high that you get from being around so many people that are interested in exactly what you're interested in, but see it from a different angle. You never learn so much than you do at these events or on tours and stuff like that. So this having a hub that everyone comes back to every year, it feels necessary. It feels right for this community.
Thank you, buddy. I feel the same thing, and we're going to feel it in that room. We felt it last year, and it doesn't matter how many people come. We just want to have as many people get that feeling as we can.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Johanna, what are you up to lately?
Well, I'm getting ready for Cosmic because we got our presentation to fill. So I'm just getting all that in line, and then later in the year I'm gonna go to Easter Island, which I'm really excited about. And what else am I doing? Yeah, just sort of ticking things along. There's lots of. I'm sorry, I'm losing all my electrics. I've got, I'm on like 1% battery. It'll be like, this is the last message transmitted from London. But
that's great, dear. Well, we look forward, as people know, Johanna's going to be hosting. We still got to get, we got to tie Micah Hanks down, and we'll do that this week.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you want to cut some time off of your presentation, we can still do that. We've talked about it. If you just want to go 40 minutes, everybody's like, okay to do less than an hour.
Yeah, no, I'm going to keep it loosey-goosey, flexible. I'll see how many slides I end up with. At the minute, I'm getting a lot of slides, and depending on the results of Bob's SEM, the presentation could be a lot longer or a lot shorter. So.
Yeah, that's the work going on in California with the thunderstorm generator. Okay, Malcolm, what's next for you? Give us a little Malcolm closing comments.
Mute your own.
Well, I mean, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So, it's fantastic, Praveen, to catch up to you, because that's been the big one. And I really hope that we can catch up while you're there, because I have rewritten, or put out help. And George's been working with us, Randall's been working with me to get all this slide presentation, all the images. But we will have the new vajra. The widget. You
idiot,
widget. I have to get my widgets out, yeah.
You widget, yeah, that's it.
So, but we have to get those. I know a lot about the Mercury engine because I reverse engineered all that, and that's why. The funny thing about it is, our bubbler is simply you replace the bubbler with mercury. Now I use gallium because it's safer. You don't get the vapors and the poisoning. So gallium's really good. You have to heat it, around about blood temperature degrees. Interesting enough. So, but anyway, that'll be share all that. I think the big thing, George, you got a big hit, and it'll keep coming. The direct matter to energy drive, which is the mana, right? Is what you. Jordan gives a big plug for the Cosmic Summit. So in that, he's done about 10,000 views in a couple of days, which is good in his metric. Yeah. So I think that's fantastic and look forward to it. So we'll have the engines there. We'll have the turbine for everyone to see. We'll have the the electronics, and I think from our point of view, it's going to be, we'll have the isotope work, because we had the isotopes showing it was 30,000 years old. And of course, I had an explanation for that, is that I hid it in a cave 30,000 years ago and go and picked it up before we did the sample. Or it's atomic transmutation, acceleration of time. Take your choice. So I think I'm looking forward to that. And there's a lot of information there, and especially the real math, where time itself, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, the mirror image. If you want to go with Praveen, 8, 9, 10, 10, 9, 8, 8 times 9 times 10, 720, times 9 times 8, 720, 720 by 720, 508,400. So, and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So the mirror images, it was the big breakthrough I had in my model of the elements and in my plasmoid unification.
Well, y'all are going to have
and that led us to
wonderful late night discussion.
Yeah, it's going to go on.
Okay.
Right.
Praveen,
This has been great, guys.
And the posters.
so you're going out to near term, you're going out to Avery with Johanna. I hope we see some content from that. Look forward to it.
Yeah, we'll bring our cameras.
Have you been to the States, Praveen? How much time have you spent in the U.S.?
I spent about 15 years in the U.S.
Did you? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Where'd you live?
From 2001 to 2015. I lived in like 10 different states.
Did you? Huh.
Yeah, I lived in Corpus Christi in Texas. Loved Texas. Was like very close to where Luke is.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was in Arlington, Virginia. I was in Washington, D.C. I was in Indianapolis. I lived in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I lived in.
Wow, man. You got around more than I have.
Yeah. I was the road warrior. I had like 10 different state IDs. So,
he's more American than you, George.
Yeah, that's right. He's probably a more valuable one if he were. Well, Praveen, I guess it's okay to kind of announce, if you will, that I was on the Danny John podcast last week, and Danny was a big fan of yours. We got to talking about you. And I said, would you like to have him on? I don't even think I got to the question. Danny was hell yeah. I mean, he is a big fan. And I mean, you're like one of the mysterious people at the top of his list that he wasn't sure where you get in touch with and all that. So I was happy to put you on touch. And you were going to leave the summit and close thereafter by the 20th, going to be down in Sarasota, filming with, not in Sarasota, that's what, in Tampa, filming with.
He's in Tampa, Florida. And
I'm
going on the 30th. I know. I see that you're so busy with doing so much stuff, George. Is
it the 30th or the 20th?
30th.
I messed that up before elsewhere. Okay, I will not mess that up again. I am, for somebody that's having an event, a calendar event, I am calendrically challenged, is what I call it. There's just something about it. But thank you for your patience with me, everybody. I love it. Let's just go through some of these people just on the chat, just some of the names. We got Roseberry, William Armand Boss, Jack of Ages, Grover C. Lowe, True Herbsman, who's driving all the way from Tacoma, he says, Tacoma, Washington, to North Carolina. Said he's going to knock it out in 3 days. We got Screwdriver Tuning, my buddy John Epstein, who is a local contact in Greensboro, who had Graham Hancock speak at Greensboro College about 7 years ago. And they wrapped around the auditorium. It was incredible. A lot of fans around there. Phil O'Fallon, I gotta learn his name, but he's my buddy in Ireland. Sticky M4 Stussy, St. Martin, Green Tea, on and on and on. Y'all are great friends and patient people to join our Rickety podcast and live stream here today. We look forward to seeing you in June 15th through 17th. Love everybody. Thank you so much.
Have a good evening, guys.
Yep.
Okay.
Hey,
1 month to the new dawn.
Yeah, looking forward to meeting you, Praveen and Malcolm. It's gonna be great to meet you guys in person.
Yeah.
Look, I'm looking forward to seeing you. The carvings you shows look like Indian carvings. We'll definitely catch up on that.
We had a good soup last year, and we're adding some special spices this year, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Praveen, reach out to me on Instagram. I think I follow you.
Will do. I also do Malcolm.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Yep.